What's up, party people, to another episode of Who Asked You podcast. I'm your host, Studio 2 Groovy, and today we are going to dive deep into the subtle indoctrination of Freemasonry in everyday society. I'm going to skip the intro. Earlier, I attempted to do this lecture, and I had some unforeseen circumstances happen to where I had to delete it and stop it. But this time, we're just going to go straight into it. And so I'm going to share my screen, and it's about to go down. If you hear any noise in the background, that is my nieces and nephews. I am babysitting right now, so I apologize for that, but let's get it. So today's lecture is called The Subtle Influence of Freemasonry in Everyday Life by Studio 2 Groovy, aka Indoctrination. What is indoctrination? Indoctrination means to instruct in a body of doctrine or principles, to imbue with a partisan or ideological point of view, to imbue with learning, or with a particular doctrine or principle caused to hold as a doctrine or belief, or to instruct. So what is Freemasonry? Now, this will be a very, very, very surface level explanation of what Freemasonry is, but you will get the point. Freemasonry is a secret society whose members go through peculiar initiation rites and rituals, have coded handshakes and symbols, and have infiltrated every facet of life, including religion, science, politics, and finances. What's the problem? Now, this is a very influential figure, Nelson Mandela, and this was never shown in any pictures in any history class or anything I remember growing up seeing about Nelson Mandela. But he's in Masonic clothing. Freemasons are sworn to secrecy and are taught. No, Mama. Shh. Be quiet. Why? Freemasons are sworn to secrecy and are taught to never reveal secrets or turn on their fellow members. Much like a gang, that leaves room for injustices and destructive behavior if a member of Congress, policeman, or any other figure in a position of power is loyal to a group outside the law instead of the people that they swore an oath to protect. They can be obligated to manipulate laws or start crises to manifest a condition that their leaders want. There are many implications to this problem. So when did Freemasonry begin? Freemasonry in its modern form started in the 18th century. That's when the establishment of Masonic lodges in England first began. You may be asking, who is this right here? That is Adam Weishaupt. He is one of the main reasons why we are still dealing with Freemasonic societies to this day. What do Freemasonic members believe in? That question depends on the degree of the Freemason. That society has various degrees of membership levels, so each tier holds a different belief of what Freemasonry is. Get off that table. Rights of Freemasonry. Progressive series of degrees used by several Masonic organizations under the control of its own central authority. Beginner levels of Freemasonry. A new member is called an entered apprentice. Then they are promoted to fellow craft. Next, they are deemed to be a master mason. Degrees of Freemasonry. In the Blue Lodge of the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, there are the red, black, and white degrees. After that, there are the 4th to the 33rd degrees. But there is a little known fact that there are degrees even higher than that. Each member of each degree has different roles to play in the control of the nation. The lowest level mace. I'm sorry. Dang, I done skipped a whole lot. Hold on. The lowest Masons have no real idea of what the true purpose of Freemasonry is. Blackmail, threats of murder and torture are used as deterrents of anyone wanting to reveal the secrets they are sworn to keep. The United States of America was founded as a Freemasonic nation. The United States of America was founded as a Freemasonic nation. George Washington was a Mason. Here, I'm going to blow this picture up so y'all can see it even clearer. There's George Washington in his Masonry outfit. Out of the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, 9 are known to be Masons. These 9 were. I apologize. 1 second. One second, y'all. Okay, I apologize about that. Let's resume. Okay, I'm gonna start over. The United States of America was founded as a Freemasonic nation. George Washington was a Mason. Here's the evidence right here. He's painted in this mural with the Masonic apron and the Masonry tools. Out of the 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, 9 are known to be Masons. These 9 were William Ellery. He was a Continental Congressman in 1776. First Lodge of Boston, 1748. Benjamin Franklin, scientist. Grand Master of Pennsylvania, 1734. John Hancock, Governor of Massachusetts. Merchants Lodge, number 2077. And these are the lodges that they belong to. Joseph Hughes, Continental Congressman, Unanimity Lodge number 7, visited in 1776. William Hopper, lawyer, member of Hanover Lodge in Mason Borough. Robert Treat Payne, lawyer, Massachusetts Grand Lodge. Richard Stockton, Supreme Court member, 1768. Charter Master of St. John's Lodge in Princeton, New Jersey, 1765. George Walton, U.S. Senator, Chief Justice of Georgia. Solomon's Lodge number 1, Savannah, Georgia. And William Whipple, slave trader, St. John's Lodge, Mouth, New Hampshire, 1752. Now, before I move on to the next slide, I want you guys to pay attention to the types of influential position that these people played in, and they were Masons. We got scientists, we got governors, lawyers, Supreme Court members, even a slave trader. So, While this video is loading, please like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me.
Oh, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose first bright and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets rock aloud, the bombs bursting in our gate through that night, that our flag was still there. Oh, sailors, that's the spangled banner and wave. O'er the land of the free and the home of the
Michelle Tafoya, time to take those earplugs out. It's all yours.
So, during my research, I noticed subtle similarities between what we deem as normal behavior and Freemasonic gestures and ideologies. Freemasons use handshakes and signaling to denote their status. Here's a short video of the hand signs and handshakes of Freemasons that they use in the court.
A lot of disinformation about this. And John, being told by his parish priest, was okay for him to join.
A lawyer of 20 years who taught Freemasonry to police, judges, and lawyers.
The influence of Masonry, even in the church, in the Knights of Columbus.
And they have hand signs they use in court because judges are Freemasons, all judges, all Shriners too.
Demonstrate what happens when you shake hands with a Mason.
Sure. What you'll see is they put the thumb there on, that would be the third knuckle from the thumb. So you see this very frequently. This is the entered apprentice. There are two for fellowgraph, but Master Mason is right there. And whenever I've shaken somebody's hand that way as a Mason, it's almost like a jolt. They get it. Masons will always go in to make that handshake because it's innocuous enough to know if you're not a Mason, you're not going to respond, but it's also obvious to a Mason to know that if you are, he's trying to communicate to you.
Okay, the next thing that happens is that he says something to you after you make the handshake.
If you don't know them, he will say, so you're traveling. It means, are you a brother? Are you traveling? Are you a brother? Are you on your journey in Freemasonry with me? So you say, yes, I'm traveling. Yes, I'm a brother.
So that way, so the handshake plus the request, are you traveling?
Yeah.
Or are you traveling? Or and the answer yes, then they know that you're both of the same. You've got the same principles and you belong to the same lodge. And so not the same lodge, but the same brotherhood. So
the same brotherhood whose laws transcend all laws.
And they're above all these other laws, according to them.
Yes.
So that's one symbol. Now you also mentioned about the different signs that they give in public when they have to. So you mentioned something about asking for help in danger. Give us some of those.
Well, there was a situation with another lawyer who was a Mason that appeared before a judge, and he gave him the sign of the entered apprentice. And the judge understood that he was a Mason and therefore gave a favorable ruling to his client. There are all different kinds of examples, but that's the benefits that you see.
Hand signs in court.
Justice, that ruling wasn't proper because he was bound by a Masonic oath, and there was a request there he had to honor it.
So and the big distress you showed us before, but the Mason in distress, What is that again?
It's the grand healing sign of distress, and there's a statement that you make with it, which takes place in the 3rd degree of Freemasonry, which is the death, burial, and resurrection ceremony that the Master Mason goes through. And it's, "O Lord, my God, is there no help for the widow?" This is the sign of distress. This is how your hands were placed on the volume of the sacred law when you swore your Masonic obligation, your oath. "Is there no help for the widow's son?" refers to a mockery of our Lord. The widow is Our Lady. The Lord is the Son. There is no help for him because we don't believe in his resurrection. That fraud. We believe in the.
I want to pause it right there only to mention about the whole hands up movement. Pay attention to that, the hands up movement that we were all, well, not when I say we, I mean as a nation, as a people, as Black people. I'm not talking about me, myself. And yeah, I wasn't doing that, but that hands up movement, you just saw it.
Masonic resurrection. It's only through the principles of Freemasonry that you're raised to eternal life.
So, but the gesture is this.
That's correct.
And so that's a big sign of distress.
That's the big one. And you are bound at that point by your obligation to assist that brother in need, even if it requires you to give your own life.
Now, what happens? What is there's another symbol beside for the 2nd degree? And
the 2nd degree, yeah, you swear the oath this way. That's called the due guard. The entered apprentice degree, the due guard, and the due guard is how you have your hands positioned on the volume of the sacred law when you swear your oath. The due guard is this, and the sign is the penalty of the oath. Entered apprentice degree. The fellowcraft degree, the due guard is this, and the sign is this. The penalty of the fellowcraft degree is having your chest torn open and your heart plucked out and placed on the temple. And then finally, in the Master Mason degree, your hands are placed on the scriptures this way during your oath. That's the due guard. And the sign is this: having my body severed in twain and my bowels taken thence and burned to ashes, the ashes scattered to the four winds of heaven. So those are the signs. If a Mason gives any one of those signs, whatever position he's in, maybe he has to do this, maybe he has to do this, it's kind of covert, but that immediately alerts you that is a brother in need and something needs to be done.
So that's some symbols of it. Now, to meet each other is the handshake.
That's correct. Yeah.
And if you're only the 1st degree, then the thumb goes over
just on the first knuckle.
Goes over like that.
Yeah.
And
but
the 2nd
you'll
degree
see this.
like this.
You'll see. Yeah. The 2nd degree has two. There's an interim sign, a grip here, and then finally, when you become a fellowcraft degree, it's on that knuckle. But this is the universal right here. And every time a Mason shakes a hand, he will go in that way, no matter who, because he wants to know who's a brother and who isn't.
Sure.
Again, it's innocuous enough to say, "What are you doing?" But still, it immediately when I was in, I understood immediately. In fact, I was doing business in another state, and I thanked my cab driver with that handshake, and he lit up and he said, "Hey, brother, the lodge is down the street. Whatever you need, we have a meeting next week. You're more than welcome." Just with the handshake.
Sure. It's so this is how they get to know each other and recognize each other and so forth. So these are the symbols. Now we were talking about the Knights of Columbus. I know that Father is it McGiving?
It is, yeah.
Yes, the Freemasons control the Knights of Columbus and Legion, all of them. Legion, Elks Lodge, Knights of Columbus.
Walls have been subverted to some extent today after the Second Vatican Council.
I can speak personally about that because after I left Freemasonry, I joined the Knights of Columbus, seeking again a Catholic brotherhood, a Catholic camaraderie, and maybe, the same social and business benefits that I could receive. But I discovered that, number one, the Knights rituals are
of ignorance and a lot of
ignorance and burned to ashes.
Well, moving on, you get the point. Placing your hand over your heart is a Masonic gesture denoting Freemasonship. Hence, remember earlier I played the national anthem with Ariana Grande singing, and the reason why I did that is to show you all of the football players, all the people in the crowd with their hand over their heart. You see, these are, I believe, Scott Wright members. I believe that's a politician. And here is an excerpt from a book teaching this. And yeah, so, and there's everybody's favorite pedophile. Here's George Bush. Excuse me, I believe this is a Catholic priest. While reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, we are taught to face the flag and place our hands over our hearts. And I have a short clip to remind everybody that this is what we've been doing since we were babies.
Here we go. Face your parents. Ready? Begin.
So, what exactly is a pledge? A pledge is a solemn promise or undertaking. In law, it's a thing that is given as security for the fulfillment of a contract or the payment of a debt, and is liable to forfeiture in the event of failure. That is very, very, very important. As a verb, commit a person or organization by a solemn promise. As in the government pledged itself to deal with environmental problems, and give as a security on a loan, the creditor to whom the land is pledged. Excuse me. So when we pledge allegiance to the flag, we are literally taking an oath. It's an oath ritual. And we're doing that from kids all the way up until high school. What is allegiance? Allegiance is loyalty or commitment of a subordinate to a superior or of an individual to a group or cause. I pledge allegiance. So I make a contract that I am going to be subordinate to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. That's literally what we're saying as kids. Thus, we are trained from a young age to initiate ourselves. That's why the media slanders anyone who doesn't do the ritual. Like Olympic gold medalist Gabby Douglas in 2016 and President Trump during the national anthem in 2015. Hold on, let me show that. And actually, I kind of want to bring that down a little bit too. But yeah, to show the queen. But okay. So this right here, it says one world. It shows all these different ethnic children standing in a circle, laughing, having fun, being kids. Posters and books line the halls and classrooms of our public hallways. From kindergarten, we are taught that everyone is equal and everyone is the same, hence the one world, right? This teaches us not to respect sovereignty, borders, and culture as separate, hence why cultural appropriation is rampant in the use of sacred ideas for commercial success accepted. Agenda 2030. This agenda indoctrinates people to which indoctrinates people to grow up believing that a one world government is the righteous ideology, hence Agenda 2030. What is Agenda 2030? This will be a short, fast little synopsis of it. Officially dubbed post-2015 Sustainable Developmental Goals, aims to reduce inequality worldwide by forcing individual governments and citizens alike to share their wealth under the guidance of a one-world government. This plan was mapped out by the United Nations in 2015. They use activists as pawns. Agenda 2030 is devoted to ensuring that all children everywhere are transformed into what the UN calls agents of change. ready to push forward the plan for the new global order. Children and young women and men are critical agents of change and will find in the new goals a platform to channel their infinite capacities for activism into the creation of a better world. The agreement explains. That is very, very important. Let me reread that again. Agenda 2030 is devoted to ensuring that all children everywhere are transformed into what the UN calls agents of change, ready to push forward the plan for the new global order. Children and young women are critical agents of change and will find in the new goals a platform to channel their infinite capacities for activism into the creation of a better world, the agreement explains, i.e., Black Lives Matter. I'm going to let that image sit there. Dematerialize the police, our generation, our choice, Black Lives Matter. And the LGBTQ. Demand equal marriage now, one human family. I mean, I don't know what else to say. In public schools, we are taught to be subservient and obey or suffer the consequences. And here's a short video about the school to prison pipeline, which we should all be familiar with in some capacity.
What would you do if your child was placed in handcuffs for crying at school? Well, this was a reality for a 7-year-old black boy in Missouri, and it isn't rare for black and brown kids across the country. Whether it's getting arrested for talking back or doodling on a desk, in-school policing is harming students by taking them out of school and helping funnel them into prisons. It's called the school to prison pipeline. We're talking about a structure of codes and punishments that criminalizes kids as early as preschool and increases their chances of ending up in the criminal justice system. 99% of New York City school children who were handcuffed in 2016 were Black or Latinx. This happens when school resource officers are called into classrooms to discipline students, sometimes for something as small as violating a dress code or grabbing candy from a teacher's desk. If the offense doesn't lead to an arrest, Black and brown students are still subject to harsher punishments than white students. Black students are 4 times more likely to be suspended than their white peers. Sometimes students are kicked out of school for basically just being Black. Like in cases across the country where Black girls were suspended for rocking braids or an afro. So, where do students go after they've been kicked out of school? Research shows they're 3 times more likely to end up in the juvenile justice system within a year. This is all part of an endless cycle. Once kids touch the juvenile justice system, they're 67% more likely to end up in jail again before they're 25. So, what lessons are schools and police really teaching our kids here? How can kids excel in school if they're always being kicked out of them?
You feel me? Okay. We are taught how to be workers and not thinkers. Okay. We are taught to follow directions, not independently think of solutions. And here's another short video illuminating this issue.
The school system is actually teaching people to be poor. The school system will never teach you about money. The school system was designed to teach you to be an employee or a doctor or a lawyer, a specialist, but never about money. My father was the head of education, PhD, all that stuff. I go home and ask him, I said, why don't we learn about money in school? And he looked at me and says, because the government doesn't let us teach that subject. The government tells us what we can teach and what we can't teach. And I thought that was strange. And I said, but aren't we going to school to learn about money? He says, no, your job is to get a job. Poverty is passed on. It's taught in your families. And middle class is taught in families. And so the people right now who are sitting at home, who are struggling financially or worried about money or unhappy, they may be making a lot of money, but unhappy with what they're doing, It was probably taught to you. Your super ego was taught, get a job, work hard, or you'll never be rich, or the rich are evil, or whatever.
And until you change your mindset,
Correct.
money won't help you, right?
Correct.
And we see that with people that win the lottery, people that make more money, they still have the same problem.
Right.
Because they have that poor man's soul.
Correct. If you're poor, you'll always be poor.
That's really hard for people to understand.
Yeah, the money will disappear that fast. Just like most pro athletes, they make millions of dollars, and 65% are bankrupt 5 years later. It's because they come from poor families. Now you tell them that, they get very angry at you. It's not, it's the rich fault. It's you guys ripped me off, and government ripped me off. But unfortunately, what Mr. Lipton was saying, it's passed down genetically. The moment I pay you, you think like an employee. That's the trap. Entrepreneurs work for free. The moment you accept the paycheck, your brain goes dead. As long as you're hungry, you'll think. You see people say, well, why don't you give the poor money? So the only problem with that is it just creates more poor people.
Give a man a fish, he fishes for the day, or eats for the day.
Yeah, you give a man a fish, you get a lot of people who want more fish, but you teach them to fish.
But you are the Robin Hood of knowledge, because I see you giving this knowledge out, and do the rich people cringe and say, don't tell them that, Robin?
Yes. Don't tell people what you know. Right. Keep them poor. Poor will always be amongst us, because it starts up here. It's in their words, and the words become flesh. When they say, I can't afford it, or I can't do that, they go down. They become what they say. And I meet so many people, I can't afford it. You think I'm made of money? My PhD dad, he says, what do you think I am, made of money? I can't afford that. And my rich dad would say, that's why he's poor. Poor people say, I can't afford it, I can't do that, I don't have time. Because it's an escape. It's an escape. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, I can't afford it. Oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I can't go to the gym. When you could go to the gym, but no, I can't. Truth is, I'm just too lazy to go to the gym.
And you play it safe, and you don't introduce new risks into your life. And so
I have job security.
Right. And your rich dad used to say what instead of, I can't afford it?
How can I afford it? How can I do that? What would it take? Or why should I do that? A question opens the mind, a statement closes the mind. So when you say, I can't afford it, your mind shuts down, and you become what you say. People say, well, money is not that important to me. Then if money is not that important to you, money is not important to you. You know what I mean? I don't care about money. The money doesn't care about you. The word does become flesh. Or I'll never be rich. Or the favorite one is the rich are greedy. It's the poor that are greedy. If you think about it, because to be rich, you have to give something. I have to produce books and games, and I purchase real estate, I provide housing, provide jobs and all that. That's why I'm rich. But greedy people produce nothing. Oh, no, it's the rich that are greedy. And I'm going, hey, sports fans, you point a finger forward, 3 are pointing backwards. And so as we know, there's a big attitude problem against the rich today. We all have fear. To be truthful, we all have fear. It's just how you deal with it. Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge, but knowledge empowers imagination. And what most people lack is real business knowledge, like accounting, like debt, like taxes. You got to know that stuff, but they don't teach it in school to anybody. People who are afraid of making mistakes, like they teach in school, they don't ever grow. Because spirituality is there's good and there's bad, there's right and there's wrong, there's up and there's down. Most people only want to be right, they only want to be positive. Well, you can't have that. That's not reality. Every time I failed, it was like, good. I said, okay, what have I learned? And the average person, the reason they're poor is they haven't failed. They play it so safe, they haven't made any mistakes like they taught in school. That means they don't learn anything. That's why the school system's actually fundamentally corrupt. It's anti-education. And I think what most people do is they let their parents or their friends talk them out of life. So afraid of failing. But failing is how we succeed. Our schools punish you for making mistakes. That's why we have so many people who are so afraid of admitting they make mistakes, or afraid of failing.
Very, very powerful information. So we are taught to tell on each other to authority, right? No one, this is a poster I found from the school. No one at school has a right to keep any of those things from happening. When someone does try to take one of these away from us, this is when we have to let a grown up know. It doesn't show you how to problem solve. It doesn't, this little excerpt doesn't teach you how to communicate. It just teaches you to tell. And you might say, okay, well, they're grade school children. They should be able to go to an adult. But if you grow up not being able to communicate, negotiate, solve your own problems, then things like this happens. I literally looked up how to report noncompliance of COVID-19. And this is literally, if you check your state, take the time. If you want to pop out of the live and check it yourself on your phone real quick, look up how to report noncompliance of COVID-19, and this will pop up. It's one for every state. If you need help finding a complaint form, please contact the MDHHS COVID-19 hotline. Name a person or business violating an executive order, date of violation, location of violation, and a brief description of the situation. Which is pitiful, which is really pitiful. They literally indoctrinate you to be a snitch. But now this is the next problem. Pedophilia is rampant in the public school system, right? These are just this is just a couple articles that I found in my research. Female teachers charged or convicted of having sex with students. Teacher sex offender list. 25 female teacher and student sex crime scandals. Supreme Court declines case of former Jackson teacher convicted of sexing students. So I don't want people to think that the old adage that only males are pedophiles because these females be taking advantage as well. Unfortunately. So now they are normalizing the disgusting behavior, right? And here's a short video about pedophilia being taught as a sexual orientation in Californian schools.
You have written, we have discussed some seriously crazy stories out of the public school. This one might be the worst yet. We have a school administrator in California actually arguing that we need to, and they are, even as we speak, teaching pedophilia to children as just another option for sexual orientation. Give us the story.
This concerned mother asked the assistant superintendent of curricula in the Brea Olinda School District in California why they were teaching children pedophilia and normalizing anal sex. And you would expect the administrator, the assistant superintendent, to say, oh my goodness, that's horrible. Where did you get such an idea? We would never do something like that. But instead, what she says is, well, this is a sexual orientation that has occurred. And so it's, quote, really important to teach the children about this. And they are.
Answer me why you're teaching pedophilia in school at ninth graders. Teaching what? Pedophilia, pederasty, right here.
I've explained to you that this is done because we are talking about historical perspectives of how gender relations and different types of sexual orientations have existed in history.
This is not about something occurred and therefore we have to teach it. I mean, if that was the case, we'd be teaching all kinds of things. What it is about is normalizing every type of perversion. And I want people to realize here the implications.
That's a fact.
This is more than just confusing and perverting and sexualizing the children. Under California law, and this is the case in about half of the states now, and they're working on it at the federal law with the Equality Act, discrimination based on sexual orientation is illegal. So if pedophilia is a sexual orientation, do public schools now need to hire pedophiles so that we don't discriminate on their sexual orientation? Do churches need to hire pedophiles so that they don't discriminate based on sexual orientation to run their children's ministries?
We've seen it, haven't we, Alex? That at American public libraries and in public schools, we're inviting transvestites to come to read to our kindergartners who actually have records. Twice it happened in Houston for having molested kids in the past.
this was the inevitable result of this, right? And now in California's fake history textbooks, they're praising this LGBT superhero, Harvey Milk, for being, the first elected openly homosexual activist. Turns out that guy also had a history of raping underage boys, and it is rape, right? The children cannot consent. And some of them went on to kill themselves, and yet they've made him into a superhero in California's textbooks as part of this new law that mandates the positive presentation of homosexuals and their alleged contributions to history.
What they're going to have to do if they continue this, if this goes unchallenged, is they're going to have to teach children that to oppose the sexual advances of adults simply because they're adults is now a kind of bigotry and orientation phobia.
Yes,
that's the next logical thing, to convince kids that if they're not considering sex with older people, then they're being bigots. That's the only place we by definition have to go next.
That's a fact. And that is no lie, yo. That is no lie at all. He is right. That is definitely the next step. That is the next step of normalizing the behavior. And then what they're going to try to do is make it so it's illegal to hurt a pedophile for trying to date or touch or have sex with your children. And so they'll be locking up protective parents for doing exactly what they should do. This is crazy. And the reason why I'm showing you these different types of indoctrination is because it shows you that it's subtle changes. It's not going, like, all of these things have been gradual. Even the life, I'm taking a pause to kind of not rant or anything, but expound on the purpose of this lecture. I grew up in the 90s. So from I'll say 98 to 2015 or whatever, that life that I lived, whoever was my age in the era before that, the things that I felt were normal wasn't normal to them. Those were gradually set into place for me to think that it's normal, if that makes sense. And that's what's happening now, little by little, even with the COVID stuff, with the people letting people scan them with the forehead for their temperature, mandatory mask, limiting people's interaction with each other, making people fear each other and have non-trusting emotions about strangers, all that type of stuff. It's literally preparing the next generation for that to be the normative for them. Because think about it. If you're 5 or 6 years old right now, right? And you hear on the news, you hear your parents talking, you hear other kids talking, and all they keep saying is this is the new normal. This is the new normal. It won't be a new normal for them. It will just be normal. This is how I grew up. This is how it's always been. And until they learn about the time beforehand, before all of this, they won't see anything wrong. For instance, me growing up, I'm used to police patrolling, but I didn't know that it wasn't always like that. I didn't know that. Think about it. When we were in high school, they had just now installed the metal detectors in schools. But anybody who started school when I was in high school, when I was in 9th, 10th grade, that's always how it's been. They have metal detectors in middle school. So that's always how it's been. There's not a before time for them. But I'm going to continue on with the lesson. I see shout out D'Angelo, shout out Blue, shout out Maya. I see y'all in the building. Sex and Masonic symbolism is subliminally shown in children's cartoons. And we know this. If you're up there with the knowledge, you know this, but I have to share it because we're talking about indoctrination. And it's short. mute it because I don't want to hear that. But yeah, it says the Illuminati on the board. Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Very classic. That says ask about Illuminati. And y'all know how Mickey get down. You see that? Do you see that? That's crazy. And it's very subtle. Like, I want to add this. Let's not forget that these images are just flashing quick. That's why, like, if you see stills of the cartoon, you will always see sexual perversion because they're doing it faster than your consciousness can register. But remember, your subconscious is always breaking down information constantly. That's why you could be just doing something regular and then you think of the answer of a question that you had a week ago, because your subconscious mind is always working. It's always breaking down. So subconsciously, you saw the sex, you saw the symbolism and everything, but your brain isn't concentrating on that. You're concentrating the story as a whole instead of the individual imagery. Look at that. And I know I ain't never seen that on Arthur. That's crazy. I don't remember seeing none of that. That's the man. Y'all know what it is with SpongeBob. Gravity Falls is nothing but symbolism. And I want to add that Gravity Falls is connected to Rick and Morty. Yep, I remember seeing that movie too. It's not, so don't let people make you feel like it's a conspiracy, because it's not a conspiracy. I don't even know what Dilbert is, but that's wild. So next, and we're getting towards the end of this slide. This presentation. We probably got like 3 more slides left. Cheerleading causes young adults to perform sexual suggestive moves in front of a crowd. The reason why I added this into the presentation is because it's kind of like desensitizing you from the separation between a young woman and a woman. And the behavior is so slight between the perversion and just dancing that adults get away with watching little girls or not older. Like, I think that's taking advantage of young women maturing into their bodies and into their, So I'm going to show a short clip. I tried to find some cheerleaders that are closer looking to the appropriate age because I did not want to show too young of ladies doing these suggestive moves. Now, if y'all don't understand why, exactly what I'm talking about, then I don't know what to tell you, because they're literally clapping and saying, if you want to come and get it. And, but anyways, young men are groomed into focusing on sports instead of health and education. And the reason why I put this segment, this is going to be the last segment before I end this, is because we know that football, basketball, MMA, that is the gladiators of the Roman Empire, of modern day Rome. We want to see the pain, the bloodshed, we want to feel on the edge of our seats, but we're not thinking that these kids are focusing on their physicality, but not their mentality, because self-esteem is damaged if they're not good enough on the field. They can face life-changing injuries, whether it's a broken ankle or a busted knee, or like they get tackled too hard and their neck snapped, or they get CTE from brain damage, all of that. And then there's stress upon stress with, I have to keep my grades up and perform. And if I can't do this, then I'm inadequate. It's just a lot of factors that we don't think about. And so I'm going to share this last video, and then we're going to end this. And this is of a video of a young man that's 15 and on steroids.
It increases the rate of protein synthesis, which increases the rate that you can build muscle. It doesn't magically put muscle on you. It's still the exact same process as it would be if you were natural, just sped up.
Gear is a slang for anabolic steroids. In America, possessing steroids
405.
is illegal.
Let's go. 15 years old. Up. There you go. Good. Bring it out to help you. Rock us.
Oh, my Instagram name is Big Natty Daddy. It's just about irony, the natty part in the middle of my name. People are like, oh, you're not natty. People get mad about that and stuff. And I clearly talk about, how I'm not natural. Just to kind of spark controversy and things, something that people are going to talk about.
We're going to talk about, for informational purposes, this Big Natty Daddy guy.
When you're at that age, you don't really know what you want in your life.
You have no idea what you're doing to yourself, and you will regret this later on in life.
I'm clearly not the average-minded 15-year-old, so I don't know why people keep saying that I don't know what I want out of life, and I'm stupid for just having fun and enjoying my life while it's here.
Instagram, some of the comments I get are so weird. Some dude talking about making sex tapes with my ex-girlfriend. I'm like, what? I'm not complaining. I like to hate, but.
Fight for these right. Push it. Fight for these right. Bring it lower. Bring it lower. Fight for these.
My bad. I wanted to say before I continue this video, it's shame on those adults that aren't refusing to train this boy, because steroids has a lot of negative effects, especially because he's only 15 and he's not even grown yet. He's not even going through puberty yet, and they're just allowing this boy to chemically alter himself. But let me continue. Here, I'll fast forward.
Just about irony.
Yeah. What you're
Some of the comments I get are so weird. Some dude talking about like making sex tapes with my ex-girlfriend. I'm like, what? I'm not complaining. I like to hate, but
Fight for each right. Push it. Fight for each right. Bring it lower. Bring it lower. Fight for each right. You got 2 more. Push. Last one. Fight for it. Fight for it. Fight for it. Push. Good right.
Big boy weight. I started going to the gym a little bit after my 15th birthday. Monday, up chest. Tuesday, back. Wednesday's an off day. Thursday, arms. Friday, shoulders. Saturday, legs. And then Sunday's off again. And I repeat that every week.
I didn't even know he was 15 until probably about a month into training with him, because it blew my mind that somebody else 15 was lifting with us. We had a conversation about people that were using gear, and he was like, yeah, I use. I was like, hold on, what? He's like, yeah, I use gear. And so we had a conversation about that. I tried to tell him not to. I was completely against it. I told him it was cheating. It was the quick way out.
But you're still doing it, though. You're still doing it.
People definitely want to think that the stuff that bodybuilders use is cheating or makes it easier, when really all it does is allow you to take your physique to the next level. You still have to put in the work. You still have to go to the gym. You still have to eat 6-7 meals a day. I used to care about school. I mean, now that I'm into this, I don't really focus too much on grades, honestly.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Or whatever. I just don't think much of it. I'm like, I got too much to do before I look the way I want to look. That's why I wear a jacket and sweatpants. Even if I catch myself in the mirror, sometimes it'll just ruin my whole day if I don't look the way I want to look. I think bodybuilding is about chasing a perfect physique that literally doesn't exist.
That's body dysmorphia.
You'll never really be able to find that perfect body.
He doesn't feel comfortable in his own skin.
My body and how other people see me, especially like when people take pictures of me or something and I look bad. I didn't like that. I want to look good, like from every angle, every aspect, every minute of the day. People think it's taboo that I do what I do when they're out there doing pills, hard drugs and stuff. And then they want to talk about what I do and think I'm crazy and think I'm killing myself. Plenty of teenagers around here that are on gear. Actually, like I know 10 or 20 at my school alone that have been using it. And they don't look good, They look like average 15-year-olds. They're strong, sure. I mean, no matter what you do, if you're on, like a pro hormone or something like that, you're going to get strong. There's no way around that. I really don't recommend anyone to use it. Like if people ask me, especially at my age, if they should use it, I always tell them no. It's not a good idea to do it. I know that, like I'm fully aware that it's not good. I like it though. It's just what I do. Being able to alter your chemical side of your body is just like very fascinating. Like the whole physiology of the body is crazy to me, and being able to literally change the whole part of it, like I almost think of it as like you're not a human anymore once you put all that stuff in you. You don't have human levels of hormones.
But still, they're trying to make it cool. Like, that's not cool.
no matter what you do, if you don't diet, if you don't train, you ain't gonna get nowhere. You can take all the drugs in the world. If you don't stimulate the muscle, if you don't feed the muscle, it's not gonna grow. Simple as that.
I've had this dream of looking good my whole life. It's never gone away, so I don't know what would make it go away now, especially now that I'm actually making money, getting attention and all that good stuff.
That's where we differ with our lifestyles. we have a common goal in the gym. We both want to be stronger. We both want to be bigger. We both want to be elite. But he wants to do it on a different approach. And I can't say his approach is wrong. I can't say mine is wrong.
No, but you can, though, because you're the adult.
I want to die young, honestly. Hopefully before 40, honestly. Which sounds crazy. People are like, you don't actually mean that, But as of right now, I do. And my biggest thing is to be able to live to the point where if I died right now, I could say I died happy.
Y'all just mad because I'm keeping it real. Man, y'all are scared of the truth. Y'all don't know what it takes. I'm 15, I know what it takes more than y'all adults do.
Yeah, so that is the end of today's lecture. Thanks everybody who came in. If you came in late, you're going to have to run it back. It's a lot of information in this lecture. I know it's been a while since I've been up here, so I tried to pop out, and I tried to pop out strong. So thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. Let me stop sharing the screen real quick because I want to know, because, I like to get to know my audience and everything. And I see a lot of people in the chat right now that's regular. Shout out Space Coop. Shout out Rondo. You know what I'm saying? Like, my people's in here. So I want to know, is there any subtle symbolism or things that you grew up, like, after watching this live, do you think and remember? Because there is a lot of stuff that I could have added, but I wanted to kind of be concise, and I didn't want it to drag too long. Because in all honesty, I feel like that was kind of short because, I'm used to banging out for like 2 hours. But is there anything, does anybody wish to share any subtle Freemasonry things that they can think of, or any memories of stuff that's normal now that you don't think wasn't always normal? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. And while I do that, Rondo said, I used to play soccer and I had gotten a sports scholarship to a college in the U.S. and I gave it up to study engineering at home here in Trinidad. Hey, that's what's up. That's smart. You decided to build your mental muscle instead of your physical. And that's amazing because we are taught that sports is one of the only avenues that Black men can go. That's the only for sure fire avenue. And that's not always true. And he said they start to prep kids to become pro athletes from as young as 7. And it really takes away a lot from their childhood. That's a fact. And you heard what he said. Like, okay, while I'm waiting on people to say something, I want to show y'all, because I know y'all heard me say body dysmorphia, right? So I want y'all to know what that actually means. The definition. Let me share my screen real quick. Body dysmorphia. No, body dysmorphic disorder, occasionally still called dysmorphophobia, is a mental disorder characterized by the obsessive idea that some aspects of one's own body part or appearance is severely flawed and therefore warrants exceptional measures to hide or fix it. In BDDS delusional variant, the flaw is imagined. So think of all the things that we are taught that we're supposed to do, that we're supposed to have as far as physical wise. I think a lot of us, especially in the generation I'm from, like late 80s to the early 90s, we all have a little bit of that because we grew up seeing these perfect models, these magazines with these like celebrities who's gotten touched up, and we don't know that in the fashion industry, they use like digital alterations. We don't know that. We just see amazing models and amazing athletes. And so we look at ourselves, our normal selves and our normal bodies, and we think that there's something wrong with us. So a lot of us deal with that for sure. Yes, we do. Makes me depressed. I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of that could be a whole nother lecture. All of the psychological disorders that the Black community and just people in general are walking around having. And I think it's just the overstimulation of imagery, which I will announce now that is going to be my next lecture, breaking down the overstimulation of imagery, whether it's music, movies, advertisements, everything. I'm just going to break it all down, and which I really look forward to doing that. So y'all might not hear from me for another little extended period of time, but when I pop out, it's going to be amazing, and it's probably going to be longer, longer than this one was. Hold on, let me share my link to see if anybody would like to come up here. You are free to come up here and express how you feel. While we wait, I'm going to play some music. Let me see. So this, I'm about to, like I said, anybody is welcome to hop on and speak their piece about tonight's lesson. While you're doing that, I am going to play a beat curated and made by, shout out Gus in the building. This beat was made by Double R the God. So enjoy. When y'all ready to come up here, go ahead and come up here.
No free beats. 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 No freebies. No freebies.
All right, y'all. I'm about to share this link one more time. Wait a little bit, and then if nobody comes up, I'm going to end it. But like I said, I appreciate everybody who came in, who rocked with me. I hope y'all learned something. Like I always say, please like, share, and subscribe. The more this information gets put out, the higher our frequency rises. So the link is in the description. And let me see. What do I want to play for y'all? Fuck it. You know what? I know how I'm going to end this. I'm going to end this with my new single, Soul, featuring G. I want y'all to have a good night, and I appreciate y'all. So please enjoy this song. This is Soul by myself, written and produced. Let's get it. I'm the realest person that I know. I trust nobody, put that on my soul. I got some exes that I can't let go. I got some demons that I can't let show. Whoa, ooh, for sure, yeah, ooh, for sure, yeah, ooh, for sure, ooh. They want to read my eulogy. They don't want to get used to me. They gon' kill the vibe. This is suicide. Reported live once they Google me. I be spitting money blue and my collar green. Last trip, she said she a member, she porking beans. She only have good for me. I am the best of the melanin. Jacobs let it have me suffering. That's why I silent and fuckery. I was spitting heat, sauce is hickory all on my meat. Step in the pavement, I'm using the feet. Quiet as kept when I creep. Y'all think I'm soft, I ain't making a peep. I'm the realest person that I know. I trust nobody, put that on my soul. I got some exes that I can't let go. I got some demons that I can't let show. Whoa, ooh, for sure, yeah, ooh, for sure, yeah, ooh, for sure, ooh.
I said for sure, let's get shit poppin'. I seen this bad chick, I take it in. She said for sure, she said if I give my heart, I give my soul. I ride for you, I die for you, I never let you go. Then we hit the road, took off to a place unknown. We stayed getting money, my karma game is mean. I stay underground, but my white forces stay clean. Ever since my last fuck up, I said me like that would never be seen again. See, I'm that type of nigga that's built to last. And if you fuck with me, I put my foot in your ass. I can't believe half the shit that I've been through, but I keep to me until somebody show me what's real. I stay stiff until I can vibe with you. It's so much more that I gotta do.
I'm the realest person that I know. I trust nobody but that on my soul. I got some exes that I can't let go. I got some demons that I can't let show. Whoa, ooh, for sure, yeah. Ooh, for sure, yeah. Ooh, for sure. Ooh.